Hello, I'm Declan Harvey, and these are the top stories from across Northern Ireland this Monday evening. Calls for politicians to step up as a series of racist attacks leaves residents of one apartment building terrified.
We need a political response. We need a whole society response to make clear that this will not be tolerated, but that does take political coordination. That will take a cohesion strategy to push back on the race hate and the ignorance.
Loved ones of Chloe Mitchell describe their complete relief that a date has been set for her murder trial to begin. Royal Mail under pressure. Deliveries for letters and parcels may be impacted by staffing issues.
Waiting for a hospital appointment and didn't get it. The hospital appointment had expired. So 2 days after I was supposed to attend the hospital.
Local councils have decided how much your district rates bill will go up next year. We'll tell you what it could mean wherever you're watching tonight.
Ireland get their first win of Rugby's Six Nations Championship. We've all the reaction and look ahead to the next game against England.
And today's showers will ease away through the night. It will be a cold night. The Met Office have issued a warning for ice across Northern Ireland. That comes into effect in the next couple of hours. I'll be back with the full forecast.
Welcome. It is the 16th of February. At an apartment block in Belfast city centre, residents say they're terrified because of a series of intimidating and racist attacks. The PSNI says it's investigating offensive graffiti that was written on the walls inside this building over the weekend. The leader of the SDLP says everyone has to work together to take on ignorance and hate. Paul Colgan reports.
Residents here at this apartment complex on Belfast's Alfred Street say they are living in fear. Along with dealing with antisocial behaviour, over the weekend they discovered racist graffiti had been daubed on walls inside the block. Speaking to the BBC, people said it had unsettled their lives.
It's very scary and very disturbing because I have never seen such kind of things back in my home country.
It's a great insult. Especially to people who are really hardworking, doing voluntary work for the society, it won't help them.
The PSNI says it is treating the incident on Saturday as a racially motivated hate crime and its inquiries are ongoing. Residents living here have been complaining for some time about antisocial behaviour, and they say it's all too easy for local youths to gain access to the apartment buildings. Residents have encountered young people on the corridors outside their homes. They say in several instances the doors to their apartments have been struck and kicked. The company responsible for managing the building condemned the recent acts and said they would not be tolerated. In a statement to BBC Newsline, it said all racist or offensive graffiti had been removed and every external access point fully secured, and that it was implementing enhanced security measures. The MP for the area, SDLP leader Claire Hanna, said she was appalled by the behaviour.
We need a political response. We need a whole society response to make clear that this will not be tolerated, but that does take political coordination. That will take a cohesion strategy to push back on the race hate and the ignorance.
Victim Support NI says that young people in many cases are acting on the rhetoric they are hearing about immigration from older generations.
It's the rhetoric that we constantly see in the headlines in the newspaper from our politicians from all different levels of society. And that is what we need to address. It's not just about this particular group of young people.
Residents also said today they had noticed an increased police presence in the area following the weekend's events, but they remain worried. Paul Colgan, BBC Newsline.
Developments today in high-profile cases involving the deaths of two women, Chloe Mitchell and Natalie McNally. Crown Court murder trials are going ahead despite the ongoing barristers' strike over legal aid fees. It's hoped that other cases could now follow suit because of talks planned this week between barristers' representatives and officials at Stormont. Our Crime and Justice correspondent Julian O'Neill updates us on this.
This is Chloe Mitchell, and in less than 3 weeks' time, a man will stand trial accused of her murder. It had been facing potential delay due to a strike by defence barristers over legal aid fees. but the case has been exempted from action, and today her family attended court to hear it will go to trial on March the 9th.
Complete relief. As you know, we have been through quite a lot, obviously the past 2.5 years, but more so these past few weeks with the ongoing barrister strike. I have no words other than full of emotions inside that doesn't seem to be coming out.
There are now 2 high-profile trials which have received the green light from barristers. Also in court today, the family of Natalie McNally. They saw a jury sworn in for the trial of the man accused of murdering her, and it will begin hearing evidence tomorrow. In terms of the wider dispute, the mood music seems to be improving after weekend talks. There now seems to be a glimmer of hope that the strike could be moving towards a resolution. The Justice Minister, Naomi Long, has had what has been described as a constructive meeting with the Criminal Bar Association, and there will now be an accelerated review of legal aid issues, something which looked to be off the table only last week.
I can't underestimate the impact that this is having on families right across Northern Ireland. Some who have been bereaved and others have just been the victim of serious, really traumatic instances, and we want them all to get their day in court. We want a justice system that provides for all victims.
And at Stormont, one MLA wondered if an end could be in sight.
It is vitally important that heads come together to try and resolve the strike action, to stop the delay in our criminal court cases.
The strike has hit Crown Court business for the past 7 weeks. All eyes will be on more talks due to be held over coming days, with Naomi Long believing victims deserve it to be settled. Julian O'Neill, BBC Newsline, Belfast.
One of the first police officers to arrive at the scene of Noah Donohoe's disappearance has told an inquest that he did not see any sign of a crime. The hearings into the schoolboy's death have heard from the officers who first saw Noah's discarded bike, as well as other items. Kevin Sharkey was listening in court.
2 police officers arrived on this street the evening after Noah went missing. A resident had called the police to say the boy's bicycle may be in the street. The 2 officers checked a bicycle which was placed against a red brick garden wall. Constable Wilson explained that the information about the discovery of the bicycle was conveyed to Noah's mother, Fiona Donohoe, and it was confirmed that it belonged to her missing son. Constable Wilson was asked why he didn't record in his police notebook at the scene that he'd been told that a high-risk missing person had been naked in the area. He said he did convey this to colleagues and in a handover. The police witness was also questioned about efforts he made to try to find other items of clothing worn by Noah before he was seen naked in the street. He said he checked the street and gardens but could find nothing else. Asked if there was any sign of damage to the clothing he recovered there, he said there was no sign of damage, no blood around them. And asked if there was any sign of a crime at the scene, he said there was nothing. The inquest resumes tomorrow morning. Kevin Sharkey, BBC Newsline at the Coroner's Court in Belfast.
Well, after the break for mid-term, the Noah Donohoe inquest continues to build a picture of what happened to the 14-year-old. By scanning the QR code on your screen with your phone's camera, you can follow the evidence every day in a special series of the State of Us podcast. Each evening, myself and Tara Mills look in more detail than anywhere else at what the jury is hearing. The podcast is available on BBC Sounds, or you can watch on the BBC News NI YouTube channel. Next. A gun attack on a family's house in the Waterside area of Londonderry has been described as reckless. 3 shots were fired through the living room window in St Brecken's Park at about 8:30 on Friday night. No one was inside the property at the time.
When you see bullets spread across the windows, hitting the wall, it was just a reckless attack, and they didn't. Those that were responsible for this action didn't care whether or not there was somebody on the property or not. They really didn't care if there was passers-by that could get caught up in this disgraceful shooting.
Sinn Féin aren't going to attend St. Patrick's Day events in Washington, D.C. this year. It's the second year they'll boycott the White House celebrations over the Trump administration's stance on the Israel-Gaza conflict. Sinn Féin ministers will be in other parts of the US, but the DUP Deputy First Minister Emma Little-Bengelly is planning to be in the US Capitol.
Well, I don't do this to satisfy Donald Trump. I do this because it's the right thing to do. I'm not going to the White House because I think it's about standing on the right side of history, and it's about calling out a genocide, and it's about calling out those international communities that have actually failed to take action and stop Israel acting with impunity. So for me, this is a principled stand and is absolutely the right call for me to make politically. I want to use my platform for good. I want to use my platform to urge the international community to do more to end the genocide in Gaza.
We do disagree with him on many different occasions, but as I've said, I will be going to DC to engage with the President because that is the office that he holds. He is the most influential leader in the world. That is why global leaders all over the world are knocking the door down to try to get speaking to him. We've seen that in many of these different events because he has a huge ability to influence things for good or for bad.
Now, if you are in Lisburn or Banbridge, you were not imagining problems with your post today. Royal Mail has admitted its services are under pressure in those areas, but the full story is perhaps more concerning. It's affecting deliveries all over Northern Ireland. And in fact, the BBC has spoken to Royal Mail workers at delivery offices across the UK who say the company is stretched beyond capacity, daily rounds are being missed, and parcels are being prioritised over delivering letters. Judy McCulloch has more on this.
This is all their baby clothes. There's just like wee sweatshirts, joggers, sleep suits.
Winifred shows me a list of the items that were inside the two now missing boxes. They were all the Christmas presents her son and his young family had received when they were over in Portaferry for Christmas.
I don't like to say these words, but I said I did invite Royal Mail to my property to pick these boxes up, but I asked them to deliver them to England. That hasn't happened. We're now on the 16th of February. I said, as far as I'm concerned, my property has been stolen.
Royal Mail says they are sorry for the distress caused and are actively engaging with Winifred to help identify and return her parcels. This Lagan Valley MLA has arranged to have a meeting with the company tomorrow after receiving many complaints from constituents.
I've had people talk to me who are business owners who have not been getting their payments through on time. I've had people who've had to take loans out because they haven't got bank cards. So not having that bank card means they can't access their accounts. And most acutely people, and they've raised this on the doors with me, they've raised this in correspondence, on the phone, online, hospital appointments.
Waiting for a hospital appointment and didn't get it. The hospital appointment had expired. So 2 days after I was supposed to attend the hospital.
It's probably about once a fortnight we get post, and then there's probably about 6 things, and you have a letter from the hospital that's dated 3 weeks previously.
A spokesperson for Royal Mail said they wanted to reassure customers that the vast majority of mail in Northern Ireland is delivered on time and that where short-term delays do occur, they are usually limited to individual routes and additional support is put in place to restore regular deliveries as quickly as possible. Julie McCulloch, BBC Newsline.
Now, of course, some post is more welcome than others. In just 6 weeks, new rate bills will be landing through the letterboxes of around 800,000 homes in Northern Ireland. And no matter where you live, they'll all have one thing in common. They have gone up since last year. Remember, councils set half your rate, Stormont sets the other half. Our business correspondent, Paddy Fee, is here with me. Paddy, you can help us with this, but I mean, we're all going to be paying more, aren't we?
Yes, Declan, the arrival of these rates bills, it's unlikely to be a red letter day for most households. But with those rates now set and those bills fast approaching, we can take a look at what the changes will mean for you. Let's look at what goes into calculating your domestic rates bill. The first thing is the value of your home. As a general rule, and up to a certain threshold, those with properties worth more pay more. Second is a Northern Ireland-wide regional rate. It's set by and gives funding to Stormont. That money used for anything from schools and hospitals to housing and roads. This year, that rate is increasing by 5%, adding alone an extra £30 to the average rates bill. When he announced the rise, Finance Minister John O'Dowd said that although it was an increase, it was being held at a steady level in recognition of ongoing cost of living pressures for families.
That is the Stormont half of the bargain, but now we know that the councils have said what they're planning to do. What did we learn?
Yes, so each council will set its own rate. That's known as the district rate. And that money funds most of what your council will do in the year. Everything from your local leisure centre to bin collections. Now, each council may set its own rate, but wherever you live, one thing is going to be the same. You're going to be paying more than you were last year. There is still a little bit of a postcode lottery going on. Ards and North Down Council, it saw the biggest increase this year at 4.5%. That'll add, for residents, an additional £27 to next year's bill. Similar rises to be seen in Belfast, Derry and Strabane, and Lisburn and Castlereagh council areas. All of those are well above inflation. The remaining council areas did still see increases, but those are at a lower rate, lower, in fact, than inflation. Of those, Fermanagh and Omagh saw the smallest increase, just 1.96%, about £10 per year on average.
And look, we take your point that it depends on the size of your house, where you live, but if there are people watching tonight wondering what it means for them, can we attempt an average increase for people?
Absolutely. Let's take an average bill at a house, say, in Lisburn. Your bill would go from £1,180 last year to £1,235 this year. That increase about £55. Again, that won't be met with cheers, especially when people are still facing real pressures from cost of living. But it is worth saying that this money is going to fund public services, and as we don't pay water charges, we're still paying considerably less than people in other parts of the UK.
All right, Paddy, thank you. That's really clear, really helpful. Paddy Fee, there is more on that on our website this evening, if you're hoping to understand how they come up with the numbers. Next, the Health Minister has defended his decision to block people from Northern Ireland taking part in clinical trials of puberty blockers. The research will assess the risks and benefits of the drugs which delay or stop the physical changes of puberty in children who are questioning their gender. The First Minister says Mike Nesbitt's decision is disgraceful, but he says he's being mindful of ongoing legal action. Here's our political correspondent, Jane McCormack.
It was a major moment in the debate about gender identity and led to a ban on puberty blockers for under 18s, but the CAS review only applied in England. Last week, the expert behind it said Northern Ireland was set to join a clinical trial to assess the effects of the drugs on children. Stormont's Health Minister is now blocking that from happening. But why?
The trial is being challenged through a judicial review. And second, it was my political sense we were on the cusp of an issue developing into another executive row. Gender identity is too sensitive and too important an issue for me to wish to see those young people and the parents of those young people and the many others on both sides of the debate have the issue dragged through the courts.
Those with strong stances on the issue accused the Minister of being dragged to this point.
Minister, if the decision to be included in the King's College trial was unwise on Friday, why was it acceptable on Thursday, when you and your party strongly defended it? And if it required DUP pressure and a formal intervention from the Education Minister, how can parents have confidence in your judgment?
Do you recognise that children should never be guinea pigs for an ideology or experimental medicine?
And I don't believe there's anybody in the department, I don't think there's anybody in the UK government, I don't think there's anybody in this House who is out to treat children as guinea pigs or to bring them to any harm.
Others outside the chamber, like the First Minister, believe politics is at play.
This is about a political battle, an electoral battle, a cultural war battle within unionism. It's not actually about the interests of the trans community out there that just need compassion and support and fairness. Mike made this commitment last year. He's now reneged on that commitment.
And as for the message from campaigners who watch on while this row is reignited,
I would say to the Minister and to every other politician here in Northern Ireland, please talk to us, listen to the needs of trans people and stop speaking for us and stop, frankly, using our lives as a political football.
Even if the courts give the clinical trials the green light, the issue remains deeply emotive and divisive both in and outside Stormont. Jane McCormack, BBC Newsline.
All right, let's turn to sport and a first win on the board for Ireland in the Six Nations at the weekend. Stephen is here. This was much closer maybe than Ireland would have liked.
It was, but it was a win, and you'll always take a win against an improving Italy at the Aviva Stadium in Dublin. But Declan, yes, it was hard fought and much closer than Ireland would have liked it to be. And after Ireland's 2013 success, head coach Andy Farrell issued a plea to keyboard warriors. He asked them to try and help rather than contribute to what he called a damaging narrative around the selection of either Sam Prendergast or Jack Crowley in the number 10 shirt. Next up, it's England this Saturday in Twickenham, with Ireland hoping to build on their latest win, which included impressive performances by a couple of Ulster players.
A Six Nations debut, and it couldn't have gone much better for Robert Baloucoune. A man-of-the-match performance and a game-clinching touchdown.
The talent's there for everyone to see when he puts the Ulster jersey on, to get the opportunity now coming back into fitness and to show what he can do at this type of level is very pleasing for him and for the rest of us.
Baloucoune's fellow Ulster player Stuart McCluskey was involved in that try and also set up one in the first half. This weekend will be an extra special occasion for him.
I think it's 10 years and about a week since my first cap against England, so we haven't been playing our best rugby. Maybe our confidence probably isn't what it was 2 or 3 years ago, if you're being completely honest about it, but there's plenty more to come from us. I hope we'll probably go over there as underdogs. I don't think we mind that. I know if we deliver the right things, it'll be a good game.
The head coach has a big decision to make about who wears the key number 10 shirt. Sam Prendergast had a disappointing game. His replacement, Jack Crowley, was better despite a mistake at the end. One former Ireland player thinks there will be a change.
I think Crowley starts the next game because he did so well when he came on. We could have another conversation next week after England if Jack starts and they don't win and Sam comes on and plays well. So I think it's just the way this is. We're going around the roundabout with this one. This is Jack's turn again.
Whoever gets the nod, Andy Farrell simply wants even more improvement from his whole team.
It's a big away game. We had one of those last week. We didn't turn up for that. We need to learn some lessons from it. We've a big test coming up, and we need to get excited about that, and we are, because it's another experience that's on to us.
Now, the Ireland women's hockey team had a stunning win yesterday, beating Australia 4-1 in the Pro League. The comprehensive victory was Ireland's first since promotion into the top tier for international women's hockey. Ireland's focus will now turn to the upcoming World Cup qualifying tournament in Chile, with their opening game against Malaysia on March the 2nd. The Northern Ireland football manager and now also the Blackburn Rovers head coach Michael O'Neill has enjoyed a winning start in his new club role. O'Neill was in the dugout to see Blackburn win 3-1 away to Queen's Park Rangers, a victory that lifted them out of the relegation zone in the championship table. O'Neill will combine international duties with the position of Blackburn until the end of the season. While in local football, Irish Premiership leaders Larne lost for only the third time this season in a 2-1 defeat away to Portadown. And that result gave hope to the chasing pack, not least Glentoran, 2-1 winners over Ballymena United. And they're now 10 points behind Larne, but 2 games in hand. Great goal too. Golf, Rory McIlroy saved the best until last with a closing 8-under par round of 64 at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am in California. A flawless round with 8 birdies and no drop shots. Alas, came too late to challenge for the title he won last year. Rory finished 5 behind the winner, American Colin Morikawa, and he now heads up the Californian coast to Pacific Palisades for this week's Genesis Invitational. In Gaelic football, Donegal's unbeaten run continued in Division 1 of the Allianz League, but it's back-to-back defeats for Armagh, while Tyrone registered their first win in Division 2. Mark Sidebottom begins his roundup in Letterkenny.
In a condensed calendar, winning the league didn't hamper Kerry last year, and perhaps that's what's informed Donegal's approach to the 2026 season. A full house in O'Donnell Park, Letterkenny, was treated to a display in the depths of winter, which smacked of summer football. As Jim McGuinness's charges made it, played 3, won 3, and now sit atop Division 1.
They controlled the game well, the build-up was good. We managed to be able to get out because we were playing against a very aggressive Mayo team that really liked to get after the high press.
Also in Division 1, Armagh's league form has taken a dip. rolled over by Roscommon at the Hyde. That's a second consecutive defeat and sees the Orchard County take a tumble into the drop zone. Meanwhile, in Division 2, Tyrone at last have begun to stir. Their front men really clicked against Cavan to register the Red Hands' first win of this current league campaign. But star forward Dara Canavan has confirmed he's now off to Australia for a month's break. Worry ye not though, Red Hand fans. Mr Canavan has confirmed he will return for the championship. Mark Sidebottom, BBC Newsline.
Now, in ice hockey, the Belfast Giants remain top of the Elite League after splitting the weekend's double-header of games. Away to title rivals Nottingham Panthers, the Giants lost 5-3 last night, but took 2 points on Saturday with a 4-2 win, and they're now 4 points clear at the top of the table with a game in hand. Finally, Fermanagh driver John Armstrong continued his encouraging debut season in the World Rally Championship with an 8th place at the Rally of Sweden, and that was just ahead of his teammate Josh McErlean from Kilrea. That is the sport tonight, Declan.
Stephen, thank you very much. Now, I know you are sick of being wet and you're sick of being cold, but on the upside, the stretch in the evenings, we're starting to feel it.
There's still light in the sky at 6 o'clock this evening in Belfast, which is great. And we've had some beautiful, absolutely stunning sunset pictures come in tonight from our weather watchers. So I've managed to sneak in a few. And of course, it's nice that it's getting that bit later as well. Belfast, the familiar cranes there looking beautiful. And look at this amazing shot from Lougharn in outside Enniskillen there. Absolutely gorgeous colours in the sky. Now, the clear skies will continue tonight, and to pay for that, we do have a cold night coming up. A Metafus ice warning comes into effect at 8 o'clock this evening, so not too long. Temperatures are currently just a couple of degrees above freezing in places. And with the cold air, it means some of the showers that come through in the breeze will be wintry, so bits of sleet and snow in the mix. Not too many showers around, but there could be a few, enhancing the ice risk as temperatures maybe drop to -2 or -3 degrees in parts of the countryside. By morning, it should be dry, and tomorrow looks to be a dry day across Northern Ireland. But it'll be cold, it'll be very frosty through the morning and possibly icy in places. Now, when the frost lifts, we'll see some decent sunshine for a time, quite light winds. So despite lower temperatures, it should feel fairly nice around lunchtime, early afternoon, until the cloud starts to roll up later in the day. Tomorrow night, although it'll be cold with again a risk of ice and frost, mostly dry, the breeze picking up, and by the end of the night we could see 1 or 2 patches of rain or sleet. So we're expecting quite cold, cloudy conditions on Wednesday with an increasing breeze and a weather front bumping into the cold air, bringing some rain, sleet and hill snow. Milder air tries to get in during the course of Thursday, but the cold air is quite stubborn, and it'll probably be Friday before it turns milder. So pretty cold on Wednesday, some very unpleasant weather with a mix of rain, sleet and hill snow, low temperatures and a bitter wind blowing, which will be particularly gusty along the east coast. Gusts may be over 40 miles an hour in places. Temperatures, though, are on the way up as we head towards the weekend.
Well, that chart looks a bit better, doesn't it, Cecilia? Thank you very much. You're up to date. Thanks for watching. Have a great evening.